full-time work, right? There's a lot
Yeah,
of
ma'am.
work you need to put in. So yes, I am putting in a little bit of effort on YouTube as well. And I love training. I love interacting with people. I love, helping people throughout their professional or their personal journey with their soft skills and communication. And whenever I get some free time, I love to travel. I am recently back from Chandigarh and Amritsar, which was a beautiful trip. And I love
Yeah.
cooking. Spending time with my friends and family is another thing that I love doing. So, yes, that's a little bit about me. If you have any specific questions, I would be glad to answer them for you.
Yeah, ma'am, of course. So, ma'am, I would like to know about your study background.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I did my plus two, in the commerce stream, and I really loved the subject, especially economics and business studies were my favorite. After that, I moved on to IIHM Kolkata, which is International Institute of Hotel Management, Kolkata, and I did my graduation in International Hospitality Management. And after my graduation, I haven't gone for any masters or anything. I have done certifications, and there are various certifications that I have done. I'm a certified soft skills communication trainer and a corporate trainer from Indian Leadership Academy. I am also a certified life coach, and I have recently enrolled into a TEFL certification. So once that is done, I will be a TEFL certified coach as well.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
a great, ma'am. Okay,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
So I have another question. When did you get realize you should be indulging self in education field and as a becoming English trainer? When
That's a
did you
great
realize? Yeah.
question. That's a great question. So I'll tell you, it was back in 2009 when I was in Delhi and I joined my first job. That was a very small period of time. I was with Barclays, okay? And Barclays is a huge organization. And if you go to any MNC, before you actually start working, you have a training period of 2 to 3 months. In those 2 to 3 months, you are trained on communication and you are also trained on the process that you are in. Okay, so communication training and then technical training is given to you in any big, MNC corporation. So when I went there in Barclays, our communication training was 1.5 months long. Okay, and that was the time I was always interested in the English language, but it was more in the terms of grammar, writing, getting good marks in English and all of that, because generally we don't have the habit of speaking so much, right? So when
Yeah.
I went into that training, that is when I realized there is so much more to English than just writing and grammar. You communicate day in and day out, and at that time it was just the beginning of my career, right? So it was my first job, my first training that I was attending. So that is when I was really fascinated with how the trainer was conducting the session, what kind of topics we were going through, and how they made a lot of sense in your actual life when you have to communicate with people. So I think that was the first time that I was very interested to be a part of that field. And from that time, I have been working on my own self. I have been working on the way I communicate. And definitely down the line, I started taking up, a little bit of mentoring training in the job roles that I was doing. And then finally moved into training in 2019 is when I moved into full-time training.
Okay, ma'am. That's a great, really. Because some of time now by listening someone's struggle, right? It encourages us, you know,
Yes,
by
absolutely.
selecting the new way and indulging self into various kinds of field. Right. So that's why. Okay, ma'am.
Right.
So I'm very curious. Like, have you ever gotten hesitations while connecting with the new people in your life?
Yes, definitely. It was not this simple throughout, right? I also started somewhere, and definitely, like all the other people who feel hesitant at the beginning of their career, at the beginning of their interactive journey, even I felt the same sort of hesitation. Even I felt a little, you know, um, a little skeptical that what if the other person does not respond, what if the other person says something that I don't have a comeback to, or what if the other person gets offended. But because I was in the hospitality field, interacting with strangers was a very common thing for us, right? So in the first year of my college, I remember within the first 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months, I was really hesitant and scared to speak to people. But throughout that journey, when you get into that habit, so everything is about practice, right? When you are doing one thing every day, after a point, it becomes very natural and very normal for you. So the same thing happened to me as well. I started off as a shy, hesitant girl, and then after 6 months, I was quite comfortable talking to anybody around the world, because hospitality has guests from any parts of the world. You can speak to anybody, people who do not know English, people who speak in some other language. You try and speak to them with sign language and try and help them. So all of these became very normal, and it eased me into the habit of interacting with strangers.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, it's really great, ma'am. And I'm going to ask you another question. Like, maybe some of time when you start your spoken journey, at the time, like the way have you started to practicing, it's a
Mm-hmm.
quite, it's a quite, I mean, different more than all the beginners still are doing in the
Mm-hmm.
initial time. So the what way through have you been practicing your speaking English? Because the way ma'am have you spoken, it's a totally
Mm-hmm.
different, and it's not very easy to having this way talking, having the experience of talking, interacting this way. It's a quite strange to the other people's
Ah.
transformation as a sentence in a different way. So the way have you started improving your skills and practicing? I'm very
Mhm.
curious by knowing that way.
Absolutely. So my biggest um, I would say trick that I used when I was in my school and my college days was to first start thinking and talking to myself in English. Okay. I love talking to myself. I am somebody who, if I get very bored if I'm not talking. Okay. So when there is nobody around me, I talk to myself. Okay. I talk
Mm.
about different plans. I talk about things that I need to do. I talk about people that I need to meet. Of course, I'm not talking loudly, otherwise people will think I'm mad. So I have to talk to myself in my head, right? And when I'm doing that, I started doing that in English. Okay.
Okay.
So that was my biggest changing factor when it came to my language. That's why I keep telling people, first thing to do is to change your own thinking. Okay. So changing your thoughts consciously. Every time you will slip into your mother tongue. My mother tongue is Bengali, so I used to slip into Bengali a lot of times, but then I would scold myself and bring myself back to English. That was number one. Next is I started watching a lot of English content, movies, web series, whatever was available at that time. When I was in college, there was no, OTT platform or anything that was available. So what we used to do is we used to download from torrent. We had BitTorrent at that time. So we used to download, movies and web series and all of that, because I was staying in a hostel. So watching a lot of English content, me and my roommates would sit all night in the, in our rooms, and we will watch movies, we will watch, series or anything. So that was number two. We started watching a lot of English content. And then number three is, because I was staying in a hostel, I had friends around me. So we used to make sure that we are interacting with each other in English at least for minimum 1 hour or 1.5 hours every day. Of course,
Wow.
we wanted to connect in our native languages. We wanted to speak in Hindi or Bengali, but then we also made sure that there is at least a full solid 1 hour where we will only speak in English and no other language. So those three things, with a lot of discipline, it helped in building up that fluency or building up that vocabulary that you are talking about.
Okay, ma'am. So how long it will be going on by doing the same activities, by having the
Mhm.
better experience in this field? How long it will be going on
So
under the
see,
journey of spoken English? Yeah.
What happens is when you get into that habit, like um there is a saying that if you do something for 21 days, it becomes your habit, right? If you do one single activity for 21 days, then it becomes a habit. You do not have to remind yourself to do that. For example, you want to take one single glass of water every time you get up from sleep, right? If you do that for, if you remind yourself and do it for 21 days, you will automatically get up and take that glass of water on the 22nd day and from there, because you have built a habit. And when you
Yeah,
build a habit, it is definitely going to show you changes. Now, the time period that you are talking about, how long will it take to show any difference? How long will it take to show results, right?
yeah,
That entirely varies from a person to person. Because suppose I want to do something, my level of dedication, effort, or determination will always differ from two other people whom I know, right? So it
yeah,
depends on what is the effort that you are ready to put in.
yeah,
Are
yeah,
you being true to yourself? Because a lot of people think that, okay, I will say that I am doing this. I have students who come for the sessions, 1 hour session, 30-minute session they will take, and when I give them tasks they will not do it.
yeah, yeah. They
So
are
when
thinking as a casually.
Yes, so it is not even casual. The thought process is I'll do something for 30 minutes in a class, and then I don't continue that, or I don't build on that, I don't put in any more effort, and I will become fluent with the language. That does not happen. That
Yeah, man,
cannot,
you're right.
right? So that determination, or the kind of effort that you are ready to put in, that reflects on your result, and that determines what is the time period that you will take to show results.
Yeah,
But
so
if
totally,
somebody, yes,
totally, it's up to us, like how much we are giving over. It will be
yes,
reflexing.
absolutely, yes. So it's very simple. For example, if you want to lose weight, or if you want to build muscles, right?
Yeah,
If you think that I will go to the gym for 30 minutes, I'll do some workout, and I'll people will know that I'm going to the gym. I'll click a selfie and I'll post it on my Instagram and all of that. And I'll come back and I'll eat the same junk food. I'll not watch my calories, and I'll do, everything by sitting down on the sofa, and that's how I'm going to lose weight. It's not going to work for you. You will not see results, right?
yeah, ma'am, you're
So
right.
results are 100% reflection of the kind of effort that you are putting in. And same goes for your language learning journey as well.
Okay, ma'am. So, the way have you accumulating the vocabulary in a senior initial days? The way
Mhm.
I'm very curious by knowing.
So whenever I used to, so for my vocabulary, you will not see any ornamental language. You will not see, I do not use difficult words, because number one is to understand that when you speak or when you communicate, it should be understood by anyone and everyone. So the global standard is your writing or your speaking should be understood by a 7-year-old. Okay,
Yes, you're right.
if a 7-year-old cannot understand you, then you are using too difficult language. Okay, so keeping that in mind, what I tried to do with my vocabulary is I tried to understand the variations in the language. For example, if I have to say that, you know I want to have pizza for dinner, right? So instead of just saying I want to have pizza for dinner, I can also say it in a way that let's have pizza for dinner. Let's order pizza. Or how about pizza for dinner? There are different ways of saying it, right? So
Yes.
I started focusing on that. And that was, this is one thing you can really learn from US based movies and series, because they have very distinctive ways of saying very simple things in a very fun manner, right? So I still do watch at least one episode or one movie in one day. I take out time. at least before my bedtime or when I'm eating, when I'm having lunch and all of that. I try and watch at least one episode. I love watching web series, so I watch one episode, and mostly I watch US based web series. But then there are a lot of others which are great and you can learn a lot from them. So do not limit yourself.